I'll interrupt ever so nicely, Tracy,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and we'll get to it.
All right, hold on. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping first. Holy buckets, do we got a lot going on right now? As I was creating this content, I'm like, yikes. Okay, so following this call, we will have our newly added, we started it last week. It's called Ask a Coach. It's a live coaching session. So if you have something that you want specific coaching on, this is a great place to bring it. You can, if you know you're not going to be able to be on the call live, you can submit your question, your comment, the feeling, the result that you're wanting to work through, and we can do it even if you're not here. So it's a really great opportunity for you guys to not only get coached, but to see your counterparts getting coached, which is really helpful. um, a handful of you are eligible for membership, which will definitely keep you on track to achieving the impossible goal that you're working towards, staying metabolically fit, and then being a part of this amazing community. So we will be reaching out to those of you who became eligible this week. Quite a few of you became members last month. So this is a growing community, but I will send you all of the details this afternoon. And I will include a complete outline so that you can kind of be reminded of everything that membership entails. We are also starting to use a new platform. It's in addition to everything else that we're doing. It's called Clubhouse, and I really encourage you to check it out. It's an app that requires you currently to be on an iOS device. And it also requires you to be invited. So we have extra invitations if you need one. I have set up 3 meetings, reoccurring meetings throughout the week that you can take advantage of if you just want to kind of dip your toe in and see what it's all about. The first is on Tuesdays. It's at 3:00, and it's self-made success stories. So I will be interviewing one success story. We launched it yesterday with Rhonda. And I will say that I'm going to try to keep these to about 30 minutes, but it's a really great collaboration tool. So if there's conversation that extends beyond, that's awesome. I'm also doing a meeting on Thursdays at 8 a.m. And this is a co-creation session. And so it's a way for you to better understand how you can maximize the app for your needs, whether it's personal, professional. A lot of people are figuring out ways to monetize this app. And so again, I want you to have a space that you can come and just kind of get those wheels turning on how can you personally or professionally maximize it. So that's Thursdays at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then Fridays at 2 p.m., I will be offering coaching. So I'll be in there, and I know that you guys are used to seeing me do coaching. I can do it without being seen, because Clubhouse is 100% audio. There is no visual component to it. So it's very casual, which a lot of people love. You can listen to it on a walk. You can listen to it while you're doing other things, multitasking, and really just kind of glean insight if that's what you're there for. So I encourage you to check it out. We are also only days away from our next crash course. So next Monday through Friday, we will be very, very busy telling the world how they can become metabolically fit, how they can lose weight, how they can live a better life. So please invite your friends into the student union. We have an incentive going on that you can win prizes as you refer people into the student union. As you know, you can also earn $200 as a thank you for being an ambassador of those people who join a program. So if they join self-made success or stop overeating fast, we will thank you with $200. And there is no cap on that. So this really is a good opportunity to make some extra cash. We are in full swing, and the crash course is like the free, fast, and easy to understand info that your friends are looking for. So maximize this opportunity. If you're really looking to make some extra cash, this is a great opportunity because we do all the heavy lifting. We're also in the middle of a reset. We have those guided protocols planned every other month. So if you are not doing this detox reset with us and you want to, just let me know. I'll get you into that Marco Polo channel and you can get in on all the fun. And then just as a reminder, as a member, you get it all. You get all of the wealth topics, you get all of the wellness topics, you get all of the calls, all of the channels, all of my on-demand programs, and you can go through any of the live programs that I'm offering. So I will, like I said, I will outline all of this to those of you who are eligible for membership. It will come out this afternoon. Okay.
Hey, Tracy, quick question before you get going here. If you have asked people, you've invited people into Clubhouse and they didn't accept, can you re-invite or what can you do with that?
There's a reminder button. And I believe that those invitations are still in your like wallet, I guess, to use. So if they don't use that, I think you can reissue it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I will just tell you, if you don't have invitations to give away and you know people who are trying to get in, there is a workaround on that. All you need to do is you tell them to download the app and then they can use your handle, not your Instagram handle, your Clubhouse handle. It'll ask them when they download the app, it will ask them who invited them or who do you know who's in here. All they have to do is use your Clubhouse handle, and then you would need to proactively go into the bell icon, the notifications icon, and it will say, Linda Vogt has asked to be let into Clubhouse. And then you can say, I forget what the button is, let her in or something like that, except allow her in, I think is what allow in, that's what it says. So that's a workaround. If you don't have any invitations or you don't want to use your invitations, as long as you're in Clubhouse and you have a handle, all you got to do is tell them to download the app and use your handle. And then you have to proactively go in there and allow them in. So I do that all the time. I have people through various networks that I try to save all of my invitations for you guys. So anybody outside of this like ecosystem, I tell them to do that. I tell them download the app, use my handle, and I'll let you in. And so I just have trained myself to go into my notifications every morning and I let people in. And you want to do that, you guys, because the whole point of Clubhouse is really building your following and following other people. It's really new. Think about if you were like one of the newbies on Instagram, especially if you're really trying to, maximize this or monetize this. So we'll talk more about that on tomorrow's call. But
what about on Facebook? I misunderstood the question. I thought it was for Clubhouse. Thank you for clarifying that, Tracy. If you invited somebody to Facebook the last time and they didn't accept, can you just go in and re-invite, or what do you do?
Yeah. Yep. If you, it will say has been invited, and you can remind them too within Facebook. Honestly, I would remind them or ping them or connect with them off of Facebook, because I will say, you guys, so many people are kind of adverse to the notifications that are coming at them from Facebook that they ignore it. So personally, I feel like the most effective way to make sure somebody sees something is invite them, So the notification is out there, but then go through a separate channel, text them, email them, call them, and let them know that the invitation is sitting out there for them to review.
Okay. I'm ready to go.
All right. Okay. So our lesson this week, this is all about creating our impossible goal, right? This is our focus for the year. And we've learned some awesome concepts, but today I want to teach you an incredible tactic on how to better manage your time and get the actions done. So you know me, I'm all about the T line. You're going to get to hear me today talk about the A line. So if you're tired of dreaming and wanting and you're excited to start producing, this work is the kickstart that you need. So people ask me all the time, how do I produce so much in such a small amount of time? And my fast answer is I'm very good at planning and I commit to following through on my plans, period. That is the secret, you guys. And I'll dive in deep to how I do that. But the underlying skill is my ability to be uncomfortable, and to do it anyways. Discomfort is the currency for completing, for creating your dreams, your goals. I highly recommend be uncomfortable on purpose, because you have to trade temporary discomfort, the daily things that you're doing to get to your goal. You're trading that for the long-term discomfort of not achieving it, right? You'll experience long-term discomfort when you don't achieve your dreams. So it's the only trade that makes sense when you have big dreams and you have big goals. Discomfort is the currency for completing our impossible goals. So if you think about what costs you your goals, it's usually one of a few things. It's usually confusion, doubt, self-pity, or fear. Those are the feelings that lead to inaction instead of fueling massive action. Those feelings, confusion, doubt, self-pity, and fear, those feelings do not fuel massive action. They lead to inaction. So here is my very clean process that works. It's simple, but it's not always easy because it does require you to commit. If you do it, if you commit, your productivity will change. So I call it Monday Hour 1, which just means that you're going to show up on Monday and you are going to set aside 1 hour for planning. A lot of my counterparts, a lot of my other clients have found that doing this Sunday night works better for them, but it's 1 hour. It's at the start of your week. And you might be thinking that's impossible because you have so many other things going on. Monday morning comes around and you've got the kids hounding you. You're maybe already at work. You've got employees, or you've got an employer, and you're sitting here thinking, how am I going to set aside an hour? There's so many other things on my plate. I know before I implemented this, I would check my email as the very first thing every single morning. And immediately when I checked my email, I had 50 things that needed my attention. My clients, at one point it was a boss, projects. So of course, your brain right now is telling you impossible, can't set aside that time. But this is why you need to set aside that time. You got to find that hour before you start anything. So if it works better on a Sunday evening, even a Sunday morning. I do a lot of my planning for the week on Sunday mornings. I am a total morning person. I think super clear on morning in the morning, just maybe not this morning. So that's how I choose to start my day off. But it really actually has now started to land more on Monday mornings for me. But regardless, pick the time that works for you, but it's 1 hour. So I want you to do this before your mind races off to managing emails. And I want you to instead start your week intentionally, start your week on purpose. That hour is your time to be deliberate with your life and to create your schedule. Nothing is more important than you using your prefrontal cortex, your more evolved brain, and saying no to the primitive brain that wants to make those knee-jerk reactions. So the 4 rules that you'll need to follow when it comes to Monday hour 1 is that you simply need to first turn off your phone, put it away. I don't want you to hear it. I don't want you to see it. I don't want to see any lights coming through the drawers. It can't distract you. Like, turn it off so it doesn't vibrate. Second, turn off the notifications on your computer. Because if we silence all of that, we're then able to really hone in on getting absolutely everything out of our brain, which is so important. So that when we start to follow our calendar, which we'll talk about in a minute, we can actually follow through on every single thing that we're doing and that we've left nothing out. We will not miss a thing because we took the time to solely focus on planning. You have to be deliberate about making that hour almost sacred. Okay, the third step is you want to be in a space that is quiet. You want to be in a space where other people probably aren't going to be around. So I come into like my fortress, my office, and I shut the door. And if I know that there's a lot of commotion going on outside that door, I put on headphones. And if you don't have a quiet or a private space and you're in more of a common area, you can either tell people that you don't want to be disturbed, or you can do something that signals kind of to the outside world, like putting a sign on your desk or putting headphones on. That used to be my trick. When I was in corporate, I always had a headset on so people wouldn't bother me, so I could stay focused. Sometimes I didn't even have anything. I wasn't even listening to anything. Sometimes I do that here at home. My husband will walk in, he's like, oh, sorry. And he walks off and I'm like, it worked. Okay. Number 4, use your prefrontal cortex. Use your more evolved brain to make decisions. Staying in your prefrontal cortex and making decisions for an hour is going to be fatiguing. It's going to exhaust you. So it does require training. And this is going to really require you to start practicing this skill of focusing your attention on one thing for an hour and not allowing that other side of your brain to distract you. My primitive brain tells me all the time, you need more coffee, or you need to go get the mail, or you need to check Facebook and see how many likes that last post got, because it was business related. That's how it likes to negotiate. It will be tempting. I'll just tell you, it happens to me 100 times a day. And I intentionally remind myself, nope, I'm staying in that more evolved part of my brain that does not let me get distracted. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty gritty of what you're going to do. You've carved out the time. You have that hour, wherever that lands within your week. This is what you're going to do with that hour. You're going to do a download of everything that is in your brain. Your brain is really not designed to store information. Your brain is a processor. So you have to get everything out of your brain so you can have a really good look at it. You need to get everything out of your brain because if it's in there, if it's in here, it gets all jumbled up. It's very messy. Your brain thinks it's all very important and you're going to want to do it all. That's why so many of us wake up with so much anxiety. Our brain is saying we have to do, we have to do, we have to do. So getting it out on paper is huge. You can be objective about it when it's on paper. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to schedule all of your basic calendar hours. Now, what I mean by that, this is first and foremost, it's your free time. It's your time. The things that are meaningful to you, I don't care if it's a meal time with your family, if it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if it's a TV show that you love to watch with your family, get it on your calendar first. This would, for me, it would include all those things that I just mentioned, plus my non-negotiables of sitting down first thing in the morning. It's the very first thing on my calendar every single day. And it's just my non-negotiable. I know what that means. I sit down, I do my self-coaching. I do a thought download. I do my models. Often I'll get into scripture. I do my tracker, my Google tracker. I take my weight, take my blood. Like those are my non-negotiables. Those things get into your calendar. Any sort of regular occurring meetings, those get on your calendar. So just kind of picture that we're like kind of starting from scratch and you're building out this calendar. Those are the things. It's all the non-negotiables. Exercise. Those hit your calendar first. Okay, that's the first thing that you're going to do in Monday hour 1. The second thing you're going to do is you're then going to schedule 2 hours a day for focus time. This is going to be the time when you're going to be able to do your best work, the most important work. It's the time when you need to be focused and where you need to produce a result for yourself or for your business. 2 hours a day gets scheduled. Now, you might be, if you're a cabbie stylist, those 2 hours of focus time, they might be the actual show. So I just kind of want to plant that seed for you. That might be the 2 hours in your day where you're doing your best work. It might be the most important work where you need to be the most focused. Maybe not. And then after that, you're going to schedule kind of the rest of what hit that list in that download. You can then plug in all of the remaining tasks for projects or things that you're helping your family with, or things that you need to do for your clients, anything like that. And then I would create an overflow time. And that's going to be kind of that catch-all of things that came up that weren't expected. So I try to put an hour a day for that. It's just kind of this catch-all. So the best part of Monday hour 1 is at the end of the week. When you have all of this out of your mind and it's on your calendar, it is the most freeing way to work. So if you're like me and you love to use paper, I will make this very, very exhaustive list of all those things that I need to do, that I get out of my brain. I go through this process, and I'm actually going to break it down even further for you, but I go through this process that includes an evaluation of whether those things that came out of my brain even need to be done. And then I get everything plugged in, the personal, most important things first, the non-negotiables, the focus time, and then all the other little things, and an overflow time. And then what I love to do is I love to take that piece of paper, crumple it up, and throw it in the trash. Because then I know full well that I wrote it down. I was able to be objective about it. I planned it. I put it on my calendar. And because it's on my calendar and I'm committed to that calendar, it's as good as done. It's super exciting to be able to know that it's going to be done, that all of these results that I need to create for myself and for my business are going to be accomplished.
Tracy, we got a couple questions. Jen, I was just wondering if you could repeat the last part of the end of the week. And I don't know, Janet, if what Linda wrote in there, that is what she talked about, the catch-all, anything that you didn't do, or did you want something more than that? Were you asking for more clarification?
I'm going to go over it a little bit more in detail.
Okay, and then the last question is, can you suggest tools you use to keep this information all organized? A Gmail calendar, iPhone calendar, with a paper calendar? Question mark.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I'll answer that here in a minute too. So I'll come into Monday hour one very anxious, very chaotic, very cluttered. Everything's going on in my brain. I'm thinking that there are so many things to do. But I will tell you, I leave that hour, and yes, it takes me an hour. I get that question all the time. Does it really take an hour? Yep, it does. I leave feeling so relieved, so stress-free, because I know it's going to get done. That is what's so helpful about this. It's almost like that shoulder dropping experience where you're just like, okay, I know what's going to happen now. Everything's set. Now I just get to work. But what I love more than even Monday hour one is Friday hour done. Friday hour done is the last hour of your work week. Now, again, maybe that's Saturday for you. Maybe you're somebody who takes Mondays off, or you take Tuesdays off and you work Saturday instead. Or for the cabbie stylists, they do a lot of shows during the weekend. It's important to build in time to rest, you guys. So however you manipulate your week, I want you to have an hour that is designated your done hour. It's the last hour of your work week. So for me, it's Friday at noon. And what I do is I look at the past week, the week that I just finished living out. And I see, did I do what I said I was going to do? What is it that I have to celebrate? It's the closing ritual to your week so that you can enter into the time off, if it's your weekend or just a day off, feeling totally refreshed and done with the week, so that you're not thinking and processing through the week any longer. You know that you've already celebrated, you've closed the week, and now you're ready to enjoy the time off and enter into the next Monday hour one for the next week. So
Hey, Tracy,
yeah.
just I want a clarification. I missed a question here. When you're saying to do the thought download at Monday hour one, is that the same as the thought download that we do every day for our, with our protocol sheet?
It certainly could be for Mondays, definitely. I would say that you would have kind of that added to do, as part of this. And like when I say this takes me an hour, it does, because it is in combination of my thought work. So I have to get the tactical, the to-dos out of my head. Have to. So I can be very objective about that. But I'm also going beyond those to-dos, and I am looking for any sort of thoughts that need to be worked on. So yes, it can be in combination, but this Monday hour one download is the focus is really to get the to-dos out of your head. Okay.
Oh, can't get my mute off. Another question. She mentioned that it's best to do it at the end of the week. It must be, Kate, are you talking about the Friday hour done? But confused as thought Sunday or Monday. Best to do at the end of the week. Confused as I thought Sunday or Monday. I think I missed Friday hour done. Oh, okay. Never mind. She got her answer.
Okay. So Friday hour done, what you're going to do is you're going to write down either, you write down in a journal or just a piece of paper, the 3 things that you accomplished so that you can celebrate what you've completed. It's a step that 99.9% of us don't do. Celebrate what you've completed. Like, take a minute, take a hot second, take a breath, and celebrate the things that you completed, that you committed to doing because it got on your calendar, that you completed, so that you can really see what you've followed through on, see what worked, see what didn't work, decide what you're going to do different. And then during that Friday hour done, you can also write down any open projects that you still need to account for on the next Monday hour one that are going to swing into the next week. But here's a little word of caution. If you're working during the week and you know that the weekend is just going to be catch up, and you're in the back of your mind, you just plan on spending the weekend working, then there's really no incentive to stick to your calendar and actually getting things done during the week. You're more likely to keep Facebook open while you're working so that you get that dopamine hit of the notification bell. There would be no real motivation to have time off or to relax. So I want you to make that decision ahead of time. When is that time that you're going to carve out? What is the hour of Friday hour done? It's really that opportunity to create a space for yourself where you can be free. You can just enjoy your time. Just be still instead of thinking about work. And it is possible. I have done this. It's insane how much I get done. Now, right now, I am in the midst of building a business, and I have more to-dos than I do manpower. So I do work a lot during the weekend, but I am intentional about that. I know I have planned that. And so instead of 2 days right now for a weekend, I take 1 day. But that is very intentional. I still do Monday hour one. I do absolutely everything I'm telling you to do. My what used to be my Friday hour done at noon, it actually still is, but I know that I have Saturday that I actually have things planned, projects for myself planned, but I still do this entire evaluation piece. So let's go back to that to-do list. Okay. So you've carved out the time for Monday, hour 1. The very first step is that thought download. So you've cleared all the distractions. You've got your piece of paper. This is a piece of paper that I want you to be able to throw away when you're done with Monday, hour 1. You've silenced everything around you. And the objective is to get everything out of your brain and onto paper. And I want you to get absolutely everything out of your brain. You're going to have things on your brain that you know that you need to get to that are going to seem super silly. Write it down. Write it down anyways. Make sure that you put like laundry, picking up cat food, changing the litter box, picking up your daughter from school, buying Neosporin from CVS, whatever it is, write it down. And you're going to feel like, okay, I've got everything out of my mind. It's on paper. I promise you, you don't. Ask yourself, what else? What wild and crazy idea have I been thinking about? What are those big projects, the bigger things, spring break? What are those kind of things that are on your brain right now? The things that you think you want to do, the things that you think you want to create. Get it all out of your brain and onto paper, because you want to make sure that you're not using your brain to store that information. You want to stop that rehearsal loop that's going on. So once we get everything out of our brain and onto paper, then we can transfer it to our calendar. Can you let Erin in, Rhonda?
Sorry. Yep, she's in.
Okay. So once you've got it out of your brain, then that's the next step is you will transfer it onto the calendar. But I want you to look at those things that you've now gotten out of your brain. And I want you to ask yourself, how important are these things to me? So you've done the thought download, you've asked yourself what else. You might have to ask yourself what else multiple times so that you can be sure that you've collected anything that you've thought of or you've been thinking of. You've remembered to incorporate anything that was left over from the week before. I like to keep index cards with me. So as I'm randomly thinking of things throughout the week that wasn't a part of my thought download on Monday, but they come to me during the week, I jot those down and then they get evaluated. They get put as part of the process for the next Monday, hour 1. So random things, buying a wedding gift, doing taxes, quarterly taxes, getting an oil change. Then I can add those to the list so that they can be part of my entire weekly planning process that next week. And things aren't getting scattered everywhere. Okay, so once you have that full list, your brain is going to squeal. It's going to think, this is way too much. I feel super overwhelmed. How am I ever going to get all this done in a week? And it might actually be the first time that you've ever seen all the things that are swarming around in your brain. And the beautiful thing is, now that it's out of your brain and it's on paper and it's external, you can decide which things are you going to do on purpose. Which things are you going to schedule for the future? Maybe you'll decide that remodeling the bathroom is not actually going to be a this year thing. It's going to be a next year thing. But you had to get it out of your head and onto paper so you could be objective about it. So you could free up that space. And if you have a calendar like a Outlook or an iCal, even a paper planning, a paper planner, you can scroll ahead and put those things down for consideration next year, next quarter, next month, next week. But you need to go through that process of evaluating once it's out on paper, once you see the space that it's taking up in your brain. You may have things on that list that you decide that you're actually never going to do. This happens to me all the time. There's things that I keep telling myself in the back of my brain that I want to get done or that I'll get it done someday. But the truth is, I might not actually even want to do them ever. You might decide during your Monday hour one that you're never actually going to run that 5K. Or maybe you'll do it next year, who knows? But taking it out of your brain and putting it on paper so that you can evaluate against what you actually want to do this week and then for your life, and then eliminating it on purpose to live the life that you want is going to clear up so much space in your brain so that you can focus on what it is that you actually want to do. You can focus on the work rather than lying to yourself that you're just never getting around to training for that half marathon or that 5K.
So Tracy, if you're going to throw that paper away, do you put all those future things, like remodeling or new porch or whatever, do you put if you don't know if it's going to happen in July or September or next year, do you put that somewhere else just to get it on paper, or you put it like on your computer in a ongoing
where I
document?
put mine, right? I mean, you guys, I'm kind of type A. I love Trello. I use it for everything. It's a little obnoxious, but it's such a simple list building tool, and my brain loves simple. So that's what I do. I actually have years planned out of things that I don't want it in my brain. I don't want it taking up space in my brain. So all I do is I just plug it into next year or 2 years.
Trello is an app. That's just having questions on Trello. They can just.
I'll show you guys. Poor Rhonda and Jerry have been forced to adopt it into their lives.
And I'll tell you what, my brain squealed and squealed like for months and months. I hated it. I didn't like it. And so I finally am like, okay, I got to get all this stuff out of my head. And I had told Tracy, I need my own board. And oh my gosh, now I can just brain dump everything in there. Love it.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Honestly, the people who don't like it is they try to make it overly complicated, and it's not a complicated tool. It's super simple.
And then Paula asked if you've used Asana. If so, how is Trello different?
Asana is a little bit more project management based. Trello, I would say, is far simpler. It was really introduced as a list building. It has those, I forget the terminology of where you're using blocks, and the blocks can move. There's a term for it. It's on the tip of my tongue. It is it's far more simplistic than Asana. Okay, so I'm breaking these down again for you. I'm kind of going a little bit deeper. So we now have that thought download. You understand what that is. Once you've gotten the thoughts out of your head, you have on your calendar, you've already put in the things that are like non-negotiable for you. So now it's focus time. It's not time to focus, it's time to plan what you would do with that focus time. Okay. So what it is, it's 2 hours, no interruptions, no notifications, where you're working to produce a result. That means that there is a beginning and there's an end to whatever project you're doing. That's important. Let me say it again. That means that there's a beginning and there's an end to whatever project you're doing. It's not the work of the average day. It's not checking emails. It's not meeting with someone. It is time that you know for sure at the end of those 2 hours, you will have something accomplished. So for me, it would be creating a newsletter, creating the content for a mastery call, creating a podcast, creating a video, creating a blog. For me, it's usually something that's very creative driven. It's something that you know is going to be completed by the end of those 2 hours. If you are somebody that is like analyzing data, or you are creating a presentation in Excel for your boss or creating graphs, those are the kinds of things that would be perfect for focus time, because at the end of it, you're producing a result. You give yourself 2 hours. The rules for focus time are very similar to the rules for Monday hour 1. You have no notifications, your phone is turned off. You need to be in a distraction-free environment. You want to do everything you can to eliminate or limit distractions, because this is when you're doing your most important work. I remember reading that the average worker is interrupted every 40 seconds. And so it's like, how much time, how much attention is even available to us? How many times we get interrupted in a day keeps us from getting so much done.
Can you break up the 2 hours into a 1 hour here, 1 hour there?
Nope.
Sorry, Lisa.
When we're working in front of a computer, our brain loves to be distracted because there's pleasure in that. There's this idea of a notification dings, and it's like this little dopamine hit that our brain, our primitive brain, loves. So this is why it's really important to set apart 2 hours under those kind of criterias. So there's, here's how you would make the most of your focus time. The first is being able to prepare beforehand. Get all of the items that you might need for that focus time. Have them ready. If you need a document within an email, or you might need to know some information from a coworker, or you have to get into Asana or Slack, whatever the communication tool is, and you need to understand part of the project, do all of that, gather that kind of information, gather the resources before focus time. Because those things are temptations. If you do that during your focus time, you're going to probably get into your email, you're going to get distracted by 10 other things that need to be accomplished. Your boss is going to send you a note, and you're going to think, oh, I got to pay attention to that. So I want you to get all of the resources that you need beforehand so that you are focusing during those 2 hours. The second thing is being able to strategize what time of day you're going to do these 2 hours. What time of day are you going to have 2 hours of focus time? For me, it's the morning because that's the time where I'm most fresh. My brain is at its highest capacity, its highest capability. It's also the time where I actually don't even check my email until after my focus time is done.
Tracy, can this focus time be worked with clients or like a cabbie party or?
Yep, it could be a cabbie show.
Can it be working with other clients, like for Lisa, with her clients? Can she consider that?
Absolutely. The thing is that you have to be able to state at the beginning what it is that you will have accomplished at the end of those 2 hours. It is a time that something is produced from those 2 hours. So closing a deal, doing a consult. Okay. Okay. The third thing in your focus time is that you decide what you've planned to do during those 2 hours, and you're going to decide exactly how long it's going to take. It will take, if you decide it's going to take 2 hours, it will take 2 hours. If you were going to decide it's going to take 2 weeks, guess how long it's going to take? 2 weeks. You get to decide how long it's going to take because that's what you're going to give yourself. So you asked, does it have to be 2 hours? Yes, but you could also have, if there's one result that's going to be created that is only going to take an hour, get a second one. It's super freeing and it's very empowering when you recognize how productive you can be when you decide that whatever you've scheduled in that focus time is going to be completed in 2 hours. You will be like superhuman productive. Let me give you an example of what might belong in focus time from your to-do list. When it comes to writing my weekly email, that is definitely something that I spend time on, and my best brain needs to be available because I want to think about my audience. I want to be able to think about how I can write in a way that will serve them best. And that also produces a result at the end. So it's perfect for focus time. I'm able to write weekly email, and I know what's entailed in terms of the thinking, the editing, the paring down, so that by the end of those 2 hours, I have a beautiful email to send out to my audience. Another example would be quarterly taxes. You might think, why would I want to spend any time on taxes? Well, we know it's important, and we also know that it takes a lot of brain power to research what do I even need to prepare for taxes, or to analyze all the statements, or to go through my spreadsheets of my budget. That's stuff that takes mental energy. That's stuff that doesn't just come easy. It's not something your primitive brain is going to enjoy. You have to use your more evolved brain to be able to accomplish these things. That's why it's perfect for focus time. So it's 2 hours every single workday that you're going to set apart, and it's going to be your best time where you can do work that produces a result. And here's what you're going to start noticing. You are going to actually get more things done. From a personal experience, I have a life that whatever ends up happening is not haphazard. Everything that happens is super intentional in my life. And I'm not distracted. I don't let a lot of people interrupt me. I'm not super sporadic because I'm super intentional with this process. And I will tell you, I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't have time for this. you're thinking it's impossible, or that my clients will definitely need something, there's no way I'm going to be able to carve out this time. And for one, I'll just tell you that's not true. And for two, it's imperative that you do this if you're having those thoughts. You have to set apart 2 hours of focus time where you are using your best part of your brain to create the result that you want. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people do this, and then all of a sudden they have more time than they thought was ever possible. My promise to you is that you think you don't have time. You may think that this isn't possible, but if you do it, you'll find that it not only is possible and that you can create your life deliberately, but you will get so much more done.
Tracy just thought you'd like to hear this because it plays into our crash course, but Kate had just said, she asked if you could, if it has to be the same 2 hours every day. And I said, no, it can be flexible because you got to look at your calendar and where you have your hours. Like if I did it every day at 8 to 10, I wouldn't be here, right? But she said, thank you, got it. To slow down and learn this new way feels counterintuitive, but I can't wait, right? And then also just a reminder, it's like 9 o'clock, so.
Okay, all right. So let me just get into the calendaring part. So you have your to-do list, everything's been written down and processed and categorized. You've decided whether it even needs to hit your calendar, right? In regards to what calendar you're using or which planner, obviously there's so many options out there. Whichever one you choose to use is the magic one. It really doesn't matter. You can use any online version, but the point is you want to start off by blocking your personal free time. I always think when I say that, I always think about Profit First. If any of you guys have read that book, you take from it what you need first. So if you're somebody that knows that you need a nap on Tuesday afternoons because you always get tired from 2 to 3 before you go to pick up your kids from school, or if you're somebody that it's important to you to have a pedicure done, those things go on your calendar first. My husband and I love to watch American Idol. That goes on my calendar. And then you add things like your dinner time with your family, anything that's reoccurring, anything that repeats every single week. Those kind of things can be automatically populated. Another thing that you guys might want to consider putting on there is sleep. So in addition to your Tuesday nap, get the time that you're going to go to bed. Start committing to that. Those of you who are in the stop overeating or went through the stop overeating protocol, you know how important sleep is to your metabolic flexibility. Get it on there. Travel time for Cabby girls. If you're doing shows outside the home, don't forget to include the travel time. If being on time is something that's important to you, don't overlook that time that needs to get put onto your calendar.
You color code them? What do you do?
I do color code. I do color code mine because I am such a planner. I'm like, my calendar is from the time I start that I've decided I'm going to start in the morning to the time I end, usually around 5 o'clock. For ease of readability, I do color code mine. So, and I use Google online calendar, and it allows you to color code.
What do you code? Kate just asked, what do you code?
So I code yesterday I just put in all the reoccurring Clubhouse appointments. So those are all yellow. If I'm doing like mastermind calls, those are all green. So I code it like that. So I can see very clearly the type of work that I'm doing. One-on-ones get coded red. my Monday hour one is, I can't remember what color, I think it's pink, but it's on there. My non-negotiables are on there every single day. Okay. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that focus time is 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be the same time every single day. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday. I want you to make sure that you have time in your week that you are resting. Everything that you're planning is inclusive of your entire life. This is not just the epic fails or massive actions that we're working towards. This is everything. So yoga classes, laundry, buying wedding gifts, all of that kind of stuff, doing your taxes. And then it's really important, and I have to underscore this, follow through. So now that everything is on your calendar, and now it's Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. and you're ready to do the task that's on your calendar, maybe it's to do the laundry or write the email, and your primitive brain starts to squeal. You thought you wanted to do it when you planned it on Monday, hour one, but then as soon as you get into your calendar, all of the resistance starts to come up. And the reason why we don't do the things when we planned on doing the thing is because of what? A feeling. The reason why we don't do the thing is because of a feeling. Either we have an indulgent emotion that is something like confusion. All of a sudden, we don't know how to do something, or we don't know where to find the resources to do something, or we suddenly forget that Google exists or any other search engine, and we're indecisive. We suddenly think we have a new decision to make, which is a buffering tactic, and that we decide maybe we shouldn't do the thing at that time. Or we'll have this urge, another feeling, to push it off to a better day and time, or just to go scroll social media or to text our best friend. It's super important to remember that all of your decisions are made Monday, hour one, and not at any other time. So when you get to Tuesday at 9 a.m. and you're trying to negotiate, your primitive brain's trying to negotiate with you, all decisions happened Monday, hour one. You'll get to Wednesday, there'll be something on your calendar. Your brain's going to say, I should do that next week. It would fit better there. No, it does not fit better there. That's a knee jerk. That's a primitive brain thought, right? You used your more evolved brain to make a really solid decision ahead of time. This calendar, even though it's on your computer, think of it as being written in Sharpie. You cannot change it. If you do, you will not follow through, and you're going back to allowing your primitive brain to run the show. You can make decisions in Monday, hour one. Your brain will get clever and it will try to justify and make excuses for why you shouldn't and for why there should be other decisions made throughout the week. You can override that. This is what it looks like to build integrity with yourself. This is what it looks like to start trusting yourself. Same thing with our protocols. This is all just a different vehicle of the same exact concept. For those of you who I teach how to build protocols, it's making decisions ahead of time with your more evolved brain versus allowing your primitive brain to make in the moment decisions that often do not serve us. Doing this and sticking to it is what builds integrity. It builds trust. Every time you do follow through, that's how you build trust with yourself. That's how you can know that you can do anything. And you can schedule and decide on anything and know that you'll fulfill it. You will fulfill it. If it hits your calendar, it's as good as done. So even the little things matter. Any questions? It is a very simple process. The hard part of it is committing and putting it into practice. I'll outline it for you. I'll get it in writing. So if you're a visual person like I am, you can kind of see the little step-by-step. All right. We're into Ask a Coach, so you can absolutely ask any sort of questions. This part will be recorded, so if you have to go, I totally understand that. If you need any coaching, I'm here for you. This is a great time to get coached. It's got to be something. You're welcome, Linda. Any coaching, any impossible goals, any evaluations, any massive actions, any results that you guys didn't like this week that you got, any thoughts that have been revealed, any feelings that you're struggling with?
Man, your program's really working well.
It does take time to get comfortable with this kind of environment, I guess I'll say. I was really gun shy to be coached in front of my peers. So I was kind of the fly on the wall that listened, and it was so, I mean, it was worth its weight in gold to listen to other people be coached, because they were often bringing up things that were totally within me, and I didn't even see it until they brought it up. So,
all right, I'm going to throw one out that is completely different than anything we've discussed, because it's something I'm dealing with personally. So I'm going to be vulnerable here. I have a son who is a recovering heroin addict, and he is going to be 26 in April. And he's again gone through now. This is like his 6th time going through treatment, and he's love him when he's sober, hate the addict, but he just got transferred into a halfway house. And so now I have this fear. Okay, now there's more freedom. And he lives in Chaska where we live. So now he's calling and wanting us to pick him up all the time. And I just got this kind of gripping in my chest, like, oh, here we go again. That's my thought. Here we go again. He's needy. And so I just feel like last night I was kind of short with him because he wanted something again. And I'm just like, you know what? For the next 2 weeks, I'm not available. I've got work is really important right now. And then after he left, of course, then I have that feeling of guilt. So there's a lot of different feelings, Tracy. But the main thought is, oh, here we go again with needy Lucas. It's just so frustrating.
Okay. So you can tell that Rhonda's been in the program. She can very clearly outline the circumstance, Lucas in the house. Her thought is, here we go again, and frustration. So is this thought coming from the circumstance of him going into the house, or is it coming from something more specific?
Maybe my feeling's more annoyed. It's probably not, he's in the house. Yeah, probably not. It's probably more of the neediness. Like, oh, we got our kids all out of the house and I'm in this empty nest thing. And now here we go again. It's that, but I'm annoyed.
Give me something specific that the last time that thought occurred to you. Of here we go.
He's here, his laundry is all over my laundry room floor and he's not doing it. And I'm like, okay, you got to get your laundry. It's all those little things. Where's the detergent? I can't find do you have any toothpaste? I need.
Okay. So the last time it happened was
Yesterday.
okay. Lucas said what?
Gotta think what was the big thing.
And for your guys' purposes, when you're self-coaching and you're really trying to come up with a thought and feeling, it's uber important and it will serve you so much better. Your models will work so much harder for you if you get really specific about the circumstance. So you could say, you know, got in a fight with my husband, or he yelled at me. I want you to put specifically what he said. Husband said these 5 words, okay? Get really specific with your circumstances. Your models will serve you a lot more. Okay, so Lucas said what?
I was trying to think. I can't.
Or was it saw Lucas's clothes on the floor in the living room?
Yeah, it was probably, he had gone through a bunch of the stuff he has in our storage room, and then he left a bag laying there, and I was just, here we go again.
Okay, so saw Lucas's clothes on the floor yesterday, and you have the thought, here we go again, which makes you feel annoyed.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when you're feeling annoyed, what do you do?
I'm short-tempered, so I'm, that bad tone of voice. I've really put up a guard and just basically tell him, I'm done, stop. When I just don't like myself in that tone of voice with him.
There's some negative self-talk going on.
Yeah, negative self-talk.
Okay.
I ate more of my fat bombs than I should have.
Okay.
Which my blood showed this morning, by the way, even with the swerve sweetener. So that pissed me off because my blood was high, but that was this morning, so not last night.
What else?
Well, and his friend was here, so I embarrassed him in front of his friend. So I didn't filter, although his friend knows everything about him, so wasn't like that. But it's still, I wish I hadn't done that. I guess I shamed him in front of his friend would be a better way to put it.
Okay, and then you feel guilt.
Yep.
Okay. What else?
I just really don't want to do the stuff for him. Like I'm like done. Okay. So I don't feel supportive.
Okay.
And I don't really know if I want to be supportive. I mean, so then there's that guilt thing again, right? Like he has to do this, but.
Yeah. So you're having this kind of internal argument of, I'm a mom, I need to be supportive. I don't want to be supportive. I don't want to do this again. So you're having this kind of back and forth argument with yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of energy. Lots of energy.
Yeah, and cortisol spikes. So that is nothing that pisses me off.
All right. So you have this thought. Here we go again. Generates this annoyance. You start to expend a lot of energy in your brain of, I don't want to be supportive. I want to be supportive. You get short-tempered. You shame him in front of other people. You talk in a tone that you don't like. You start to eat off protocol. Metabolically, you have results from that. And what do these actions, being short-tempered, talking in a tone that you don't like, that you recognize that you've done before, you have some negative self-talk, you start to eat off protocol, you start to feel guilt and shame. What does that create for you?
Just more frustration. I'm just frustrated with myself.
So this,
yeah,
you just kind of keep circling the drain.
Yeah, the vicious cycle.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm guessing this is probably not what you want to intentionally create.
No.
Right?
Right.
But unintentionally, when you're just allowing your primitive brain to kind of run the show, it's on autopilot, it chooses this thought.
Yeah.
Because that's a really common thought. You've thought it a million times. It's efficient. It's right there. It's easy to grab. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's
Well, like I do good for a while, like when we had coached similar to this, when we first found out, or not when we first found out, but when stuff kind of blew up, 5 months ago, you said trying the thought that he's doing the best he can right now. And that thought really saved me through a lot. But then when he was here in my house, in my face, and now he starts slipping, right? He does really good for a while, make sure stuff is picked up. He's doing all, he knows. And then boom, that old thought was right there. And that's how I reacted. And it's like, oh.
But as a human, we all slip, right?
Yeah.
Slip. I mean, you're recognizing, you're like, I had a thought that worked for me for a while, and then I slipped.
Yeah.
So we can just kind of all agree that we're human. Humans slip. But here's what I want to remind you of, that this is the thought that comes up when you're on auto drive, when you're not being intentional, when you're not intentionally choosing. You unintentionally chose this thought. So if we're being intentional, would you choose that thought?
No.
Because you can see now that thought makes you feel annoyed.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Lucas. We're talking about you. That thought makes you feel annoyed. Yeah. And then it has you showing up in this way, creating a cycle that manifests, here we go again. And
I think part of it is it's easy, right? Because I'm used to that thought because I've had it for years and years and years. We've done this so many times. Part of it, I think it's almost like not vindictive, but it's like, you almost want that thought, right? Like, I'm just so frustrated with you, and I want you to be in pain because I'm in pain. You know what I mean? It's like all the stuff you've done to us. That's kind of how you kind of work through it. But and then I go through it and then I hate it. It hasn't served me at all. So it's almost like sometimes you like the way you feel, even though it's not good. And then you always end up hating the way you feel.
And I will just challenge you. This is a little bit more advanced, but I will challenge you is to ask yourself first, why is my brain offering me that thought? Is there a reason why my brain would choose that thought? Is there a way that thought actually could be serving me? Is there a way that thought may have kept me safe at one point? Okay. It's a really interesting, more advanced question to ask yourself. Often it will diffuse judgment. Because at some point, that thought may have served you. I bet you could probably come up with sometimes.
Yeah, like probably 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Every time he goes into recovery every time.
Yeah. And so it is easier to understand through curiosity, through asking yourself those questions versus jumping into judgment. We are human. We are going to grab that first thought, but here's the deal. We don't have to keep it. Once we recognize it and we do a model, we can actually see what it's creating for us, and we can take the power back and choose that thought or not. That's the beauty of all of this. That's where we get to see our humanness and just accept it without judgment. But the beautiful part is if you want to create something different, it's just a choice.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have known that had we not modeled it.
Yeah.
So that's the value of it. So I know you don't want to feel annoyed, because feeling annoyed, that energy, that vibration that's running through your body isn't serving you. It's not serving you mentally, physically, emotionally, metabolically. And we are talking about you. We're not talking about Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even though at some point you could maybe say, you know, that did serve me because he had a different reaction when I thought that. Let's stick with you and recognize that the feeling annoyed doesn't serve you. How do you think, did your husband see the clothes on the floor?
Oh yeah, but he could care less.
So you do see that it's not the clothes on the floor that's making you feel annoyed, because your husband saw the clothes on the floor and he could have cared less, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the clothes on the floor that's making you feel annoyed. What's making you feel annoyed?
Really it's his neediness, Lucas's neediness still.
Which is a thought, right?
Yeah.
So do you see how you can take the power back? You don't have to feel annoyed.
Yeah.
Because anybody else could see those same clothes on the floor. They're not probably going to feel annoyed, just like your husband didn't. So it's not the clothes on the floor, right?
Except for that is annoying to me, because I'm OCD about my house. You know, I mean, that's what's nice about empty nest, is that you're in control of your environment for those of us that are in it. And I mean, crap, it annoys me when my husband leaves his clothes on the floor. I mean, you know, like, what are you doing with those clothes that are hanging on the banister? You know, it's like,
right.
So
when you allow yourself to feel annoyed because of a circumstance and not take the power back by saying it's the thought that I'm thinking about the circumstance that's making me feel annoyed, you stay in victim mode.
Oh my God, how do you ever get past that?
You work through it. That's what it looks like to, like, really, you have to understand that it is a thought that's driving the feeling, not the circumstance.
But I like a clean house, Tracy.
Yeah. And so I like a clean house, and that's okay. Or I like a clean house and that's what doors are for. Or, right? There's other things that you can use that concept or that tactic of putting on an and at the end of your.
Okay.
Here we go again. And I'm learning how to choose my thoughts so I don't feel annoyed.
All right.
That makes you feel what?
Relief.
Or empowered or in control. Because when you're feeling this way, you're giving all your power away.
Yeah.
You're stepping into like victim mode and saying that circumstance, I have no control over it because that circumstance makes me feel something. Not true. Not true ever, ever.
Yeah.
Always a thought that generates a feeling, good, bad, indifferent. And it's always a choice. So if you don't like the result, if you don't like the way you're acting, if you don't like feeling that way, you are in control. You have a choice. Ask yourself, why am I choosing to think that thought? If that's making me feel annoyed, there's so many other things I could choose to think about clothes on the floor. A very neutral circumstance.
Yeah. All right. I got a lot of work to do in here on this thing.
I'm sensing some resistance here.
No, I just know that I really need to, like, I thought I really had it tempered, if that was the right word, you know, because I kept practicing that thought. And I'm very proud of him. You know, like, he and his buddy were here. They went to a meeting, they came back, and I was like, wow. I mean, and that's new for him. So I was so happy. But then the clothes were still there and they were nagging on me, you know? And so I just really need to think of some really good thoughts and practice those thoughts. So I've got more than one.
Yeah, I want you to I need to, I should, like should is just a I could disguised by shame. Like, you're human, you're gonna slip. We've already kind of agreed on that.
Yeah.
We all do. It's just being brought back, being reminded that we have a choice. So you had this awesome thought of Lucas is doing the best he can, which really gave you some great growth.
Yeah.
That thought might not be working for you anymore. So now, time to roll up our sleeves. What can we think about Lucas that's believable? That's the key, you guys. Has to be believable. This is not the power of positive thinking, Pollyanna, rainbows, and unicorns. It's not. It's just moving ever so slightly out of something that's not serving you. Physically, emotionally, mentally, metabolically.
Yeah, that's good.
So the work is, what can you think about, Lucas? What can you think about the clothesline on the floor that doesn't make you feel annoyed, but it has to be believable? That's the puzzle.
Yeah, I don't know that right now.
Well, sometimes it's, I'm annoyed by seeing clothes on the floor, and that's okay. Like, just give yourself that grace. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're compounding the annoyance with shame, because I should know better. And I want to remind you, you're human, you're gonna slip 50% of the time.
Yeah.
So give yourself that space of, I'm human, clothes on the floor annoys me. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just notice what vibration runs through your body when you think that. And I bet it's better than this, right? Yeah. And I bet whatever it is, if it's peace, if it's acceptance, won't have you doing this. So you get a different result.
Yeah.
And it all starts with just this unintentional model, just making yourself aware of what kind of result you're creating for yourself, and reminding yourself that you are in control. It's hard. I live it every day right alongside of you. It's hard. It's hard to be in the moment, emotionally triggered, and to do this. But it gets easier with practice.
Awesome. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Good. Anybody else? All right. So good to see you guys. Yeah, thank you so much, Rhonda, for sharing. This has like been your vulnerable week.
Yeah. That's good. Putting myself out there.
Like you shed lots of pounds. All right, this will be in the master channel, the recording. And just as a reminder, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, we'll be in Clubhouse talking about how to co-collaborate, how to monetize Clubhouse for your businesses, how to maximize it personally, learn from other people, be exposed to some really cool minds. So we invite you to come into that. And then today at noon, the class of January 21 wraps up, which is super exciting. Then they become masters. We've had some really good progress. It'll be really fun to conclude this fat adapted intensive and get them into mastery. So, all right, so good to see you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye everybody.
I want this closed. Here we go.